When I remarried at 58, I didn't tell my new wife that I owned the entire 20-story luxury condominium building in Manhattan where we lived. I told her I was just the night security guard making $3,200 a month. The morning after our wedding, she changed the locks on my penthouse and told me to go sleep in the basement storage room. I'm glad I kept my secret because what happened next showed me exactly who she really was. My name is Richard Thompson, and this is my story. Follow along until the end, and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far my story reaches. The wedding was perfect. Small, intimate, just the way I wanted it. We held the ceremony on the rooftop of Riverside Towers, the building where Elena Rodriguez thought I worked as security. 30 guests, mostly her friends and family, a few of the building residents who had become like family to me over the past 3 years. Elena looked stunning in her cream designer dress. She told me she borrowed it from a friend, but I later learned she bought it with money from her divorce settlement. Money she claimed she never had. Do you, Richard Thompson, take Elena Rodriguez to be your lawfully wedded wife? The officiant asked. I looked into her dark eyes and saw what I thought was my second chance at happiness. My first wife, Margaret, died of cancer 4 years ago. For a long time, I thought that part of my life was over. Then, 18 months ago, Elena moved into Unit 15B with her 2 kids. She was a nurse, she said, struggling to make ends meet after a difficult divorce. The monthly maintenance fee of $2,800 was hard for her, she always told me. Sometimes, she'd come to my security desk late at night, her scrubs wrinkled from a double shift, her face tired but still beautiful, asking if there was any way to get an extension on the payment. I fell in love with her strength, the way she never complained, the way she smiled even when things were hard. When she looked at me in my security uniform, I didn't feel like a 60-year-old man anymore. I felt alive again. I do, I said. Her children, Sophia and Lucas, had walked her down the aisle together. Sophia was 22, working as a real estate agent, always professional and polite. Lucas was 19. A college student who seemed more interested in his phone than anything else. But that day, they both smiled. They both seemed happy for their mother. We danced to At Last by Etta James as the sun set over Manhattan. The lights of the city spread out below us like stars. Elena whispered in my ear, "Thank you for giving me stability, Richard. For giving me a home." I held her close, feeling the weight of the secret I carried. She had no idea that this building, every single one of its 240 units, belonged to me. That I wasn't just some security guard living in a converted storage room in the basement. That the old Honda Civic I drove was a choice, not a necessity. That the security uniform I wore was camouflage for a net worth of $5.2 million. I had my reasons for hiding it. After Margaret died, I discovered that several women I'd tried to date were only interested in my money. I sold my artificial intelligence security software company for $5 million 3 years ago and bought this building. I wanted to know if someone could love Richard Thompson the man, not Richard Thompson the millionaire. So, I became the night security guard. I worked the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift, walked the halls, checked the cameras, fixed small problems. The residents knew me, trusted me, and Elena, she saw a hard-working man in his late 50s trying to make an honest living. At least, that's what I thought she saw. The reception went late into the night. We cleaned up around 11 and finally headed down to what Elena thought was my apartment, a converted storage room in the basement. What she didn't know was that I actually lived in the penthouse on the 20th floor. The storage room was just where I changed into my uniform and monitored the building's security systems. "I've been thinking," Elena said as we rode the elevator down, "maybe we should look for a bigger place. Your room is nice for one person, but with Sophia and Lucas visiting more now that we're married, we need more space." "We'll figure it out," I told her, kissing her forehead. "We have time." I woke up Sunday morning to the sound of my phone buzzing. Multiple notifications, text messages. I reached for my phone, careful not to wake Elena. The first message was from the building's main security system. Lock change detected, Unit 20A. That was the penthouse. My penthouse. I sat up slowly. Elena was already awake, already dressed. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, her back to me. Elena? She didn't turn around. Richard, we need to talk. Something in her voice made my chest tighten. What's wrong? I think it's best if you stay down here for a while. I need some space to adjust to married life. I almost laughed. Space? We just got married yesterday. I know. She finally turned to face me. The woman looking back at me was different. The warmth was gone. The soft eyes that used to light up when she saw me were cold, calculating. But Vincent is moving in today, and it's going to be crowded. The room went silent. Vincent? Vincent DeLuca, my business partner. I told you about him. She hadn't. Not once in 18 months had she mentioned anyone named Vincent. Elena, what's going on? He's bringing some of his things to the penthouse. We're going to need the space up there for a new project we're working on. My blood went cold. What penthouse? Unit 20A. The one that comes with the building manager position. I already talked to the owner about converting it for our use. I stared at her. She had no idea she was talking about my apartment, in my building. Elena, I don't have access to that unit. That's private property. Well, you'll have to talk to your boss about it. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. Anyway, Vincent needs somewhere to stay while we get this project off the ground. It's only temporary. Who is Vincent? I told you. My business partner. He's an investment banker. He's going to help me invest some money. She picked up her purse. I'm going upstairs to let him in. You should probably go start your shift. Elena, it's Sunday morning. I don't work Sundays. Then I guess you have the day off. She walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and Richard, I think it's better if you stay down here for now. Give me some time to settle into married life. This is all very new for me. The door closed behind her. I sat on the bed, trying to process what had just happened. Less than 12 hours after our wedding, my wife had just asked me to stay away from her, and she was moving another man into my penthouse. I got dressed quickly and headed to the security office. The cameras. I needed to see the cameras. I pulled up the feed for the 20th floor, the penthouse level. There she was. Elena, standing outside Unit 20A. And there was a man, tall, dark hair, expensive suit. He was carrying luggage, multiple bags. He wasn't visiting. He was moving in. I pulled up the access logs. The locks had been changed at 6 a.m. 2 hours ago, while I was still sleeping. She must have hired someone to do it overnight. Had she planned this? How long had she been planning this? My phone rang. It was Sophia, Elena's daughter. Richard, we need to talk. Can you meet me at the coffee shop on 3rd Avenue? It's important. 30 minutes later, I sat across from Sophia in a corner booth at Rossetti's cafe. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying all night. I'm sorry, she said before I could even ask what was wrong. I'm so sorry, Richard. I should have told you sooner. Told me what? About Vincent. About Mom's plan. She took a deep breath. She's been seeing him for 6 months. He's not her business partner. He's her boyfriend. The coffee in my stomach turned to acid. Her what? She met him online 8 months ago. He told her he was an investment banker from Chicago, that he had connections, that he could help her invest her money. She's been planning this for months, Richard. The marriage, all of it. Planning what, exactly? Sophia looked down at her hands. She was going to marry you, stay married just long enough to establish residency, then file for divorce. She figured that if you were married and living together, she'd have rights to the penthouse in a divorce settlement. She was going to claim you'd been living there together, that it was the marital home. Then she was going to sell it to Vincent's client for $3 million and split the money with him. I couldn't breathe. The woman I married, the woman I thought I knew, had been running a con on me this entire time. Sophia, why are you telling me this? Because you're a good man, Richard. You've been nothing but kind to us. You helped me get my real estate license. You talked to Lucas about staying in school. You treated Mom like she was precious. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. She doesn't deserve you. And this whole thing, it's wrong. I can't watch her do this to you. Does Lucas know? She nodded. He's helping her. He thinks it's smart. He thinks you're just some old security guard and mom's finally getting what she deserves after her divorce. What she deserves. The phrase echoed in my head. Sophia, your mother told me she got nothing in her divorce, that she was left struggling. Sophia's laugh was bitter. She got $400,000 in the settlement, plus $2,000 a month in alimony. She also owns a rental property in New Jersey that brings in $2,300 a month. She's not poor, Richard. She never was. I sat back in the booth, the full picture finally coming into focus. Elena had been playing the struggling single mother for 18 months, letting me feel sorry for her, letting me help her with maintenance fees. I was actually just paying to myself, letting me fall in love with a woman who didn't exist. There's something else, Sophia said. I did some research on Vincent DeLuca. What did you find? She pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot. His real name is Victor Daniels. He has 4 fraud convictions in 3 different states. He's wanted in Nevada for skipping bail on a theft charge. Richard, he's a professional con artist. He specializes in romance scams targeting middle-aged women. I stared at the photo on her screen. It was the same man I'd seen on the security cameras. But in this photo, he looked different. Thinner, scruffier, harder. Sophia, if he's a con artist, then your mother. Is being conned by the same kind of person she's trying to con you as? I know. Sophia wiped her eyes. I tried to tell her. I showed her the evidence, but she won't listen. She says Vincent loves her, that he's going to help her invest her money offshore so you can't get any of it in the divorce. Offshore? My stomach dropped. How much money? All of it. $400,000. She transferred it yesterday morning before the wedding. Vincent set up an account in the Cayman Islands. He told her it was to protect her assets during the divorce proceedings. Elena had just handed her entire life savings to a career criminal. And she was so focused on trying to steal from me that she couldn't see she was the one being stolen from. Sophia, you need to get out of that apartment. What? Tonight, pack your things and leave. Stay with a friend, get a hotel, whatever you need to do. I can't just abandon my mom. You're not abandoning her. You're protecting yourself. Sophia, think about what you just told me. Victor Daniels is a convicted criminal. Your mother just gave him $400,000. Your brother is helping him plan God knows what. When this all comes crashing down, and it will, you don't want to be anywhere near it. She was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? What I should have done from the beginning. Tell the truth. After Sophia left, I sat in that cafe for another hour, making phone calls. The first was to my lawyer, David Brennan. He'd handled Margaret's estate and had helped me set up the legal protections around my assets when I bought the building. Richard, how was the wedding? He answered cheerfully. Interesting, David. I need you to pull the paperwork Elena signed last week. There was a pause. The maintenance fee modification forms? Yes. The ones that were actually a prenuptial agreement disguised as building paperwork. I heard David settling into his chair. She signed them without reading the full disclosure, didn't she? She skimmed them. You explained they were marriage asset protection clauses, but she was too focused on getting her daughter's apartment fees reduced to pay attention. And now? Now, my wife of less than 24 hours has moved her boyfriend into my penthouse and told me to stay in the basement. She thinks I'm a poor security guard, and she's planning to divorce me and take half of what she thinks I own. Which is, she thinks I might have 40 or 50,000 in savings. She has no idea about the building, the investments, anything. David was quiet for a moment. Richard, you know what you need to do. I know. I'm coming to your office tomorrow morning. We're filing for divorce. Grounds, fraud, misrepresentation, and breach of marital contract. My second call was to Detective Michael Torres at the Manhattan North Precinct. I'd worked with him before on security issues in the building. Detective, I need to report a wanted fugitive currently residing in my building. That evening, I sat in my security office watching the cameras. Elena was in the penthouse, my penthouse, laughing with Vincent. Lucas was there too, the 3 of them drinking champagne, celebrating their victory. They had no idea that every word they said was being recorded by the security system I'd installed personally. At 8 p.m., there was a knock on my office door. It was Sophia, carrying 2 suitcases. I'm leaving, she said. "I'm staying with a friend in Brooklyn. But Richard, I need to show you something first." She pulled out her phone and played a video. It was shaky, clearly filmed secretly, but the audio was clear. Vincent's voice. "The offshore account is set up. Once we get the penthouse sold, we split 3 million 3 ways. Your mom gets 1 million, you get 1 million, I get 1 million. Easy money." Lucas's voice. "What about the security guard?" Vincent laughed. "What about him? He's nobody. He'll get whatever the court says he deserves in the divorce, probably half his savings, maybe $25,000. Your mom will pay him off, and we all move on. And the old lady on the 15th floor, Miss Abernathy, we'll handle that next week. Sophia said she has an art collection worth at least $500,000. We just need to get into her apartment." My blood turned to ice. They weren't just planning to con me. They were planning to rob my tenants. "Sophia, have you shown this to your mother?" She shook her head. "She won't listen to me anymore, but I thought maybe you could use it." "I can. Thank you, Sophia. You're doing the right thing." After she left, I made one more call. To Miss Dorothy Abernathy, the 85-year-old retired art professor who lived on the 15th floor. "Miss Abernathy, this is Richard from security. I need to talk to you about your art collection." Monday morning came with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I'd spent the night making plans, gathering evidence, and preparing for what came next. At 9 a.m., I walked into David Brennan's office. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready." An hour later, I stood outside the penthouse, Unit 20A. My penthouse. I could hear voices inside. Laughter. They were celebrating. I knocked firmly on the door. The door opened. Elena stood there wearing one of my wife Margaret's old Columbia University sweatshirts. Seeing it on her felt like a violation. "Richard," she said, not even trying to hide her annoyance. "What are you doing up here? I told you to stay downstairs." "We need to talk, Elena." "I don't think so." She started to close the door. "It's about Vincent and Lucas and the plan to sell this apartment." She froze. Behind her, I could see Vincent appearing in the hallway, looking concerned. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. And you're going to want to let me in for this conversation." She hesitated, then stepped back. Vincent was there now, tall and confident in his expensive suit. Lucas appeared from the kitchen, his phone in his hand as always. "Who's this?" Vincent asked. "The security guard," Elena said dismissively. "He's my husband." "Ah," Vincent extended his hand. "Vincent DeLuca, nice to meet you." I didn't shake it. Instead, I pulled out the manila envelope David had prepared. "My lawyer suggested I bring these documents to your attention." "What documents?" Elena asked. I pulled out the first one. "This is the deed to Riverside Towers. The entire building, all 20 floors, 240 units. Take a look at the owner's name." I held it up. Elena's face went pale as she read. "Richard Thompson, sole proprietor." That's not possible," she whispered. "It's very possible. In fact, I've owned this building for 3 years. I bought it with the proceeds from selling my software company. $5 million. Vincent grabbed the paper, his eyes scanning frantically. "This has to be fake." "Here's the property tax assessment," I said, pulling out another document. "Here's the title insurance policy. Here's my business license for Thompson Property Management, LLC. Would you like to see the bank statements showing monthly rental income of $28,000 from all the other units?" Elena sat down heavily on the couch. My couch. Her hands were shaking. "But you told me you were just the security guard." I said I worked security. I never said I didn't own the building. I manage it personally. I work the night shift because I enjoy it. The $3,200 salary I pay myself is for tax purposes. My actual net income from this building alone is about $19,000 per month after expenses. Lucas was staring at the documents, his mouth open. "You're rich?" "I'm comfortable, yes. And Elena, you've been living in a 2-bedroom unit I charge market rate for. That's $2,800 a month. I've been giving you no discount whatsoever. Every time you asked for an extension on your maintenance fees, you were asking me for an extension on money you were paying to me." Vincent had gone very quiet. I could see his mind working, recalculating. Here's where it gets interesting, I continued. This is the prenuptial agreement you signed last Tuesday. I never signed a prenup, Elena said quickly. You did. Right here. I pointed to her signature on the document. You thought you were signing forms to reduce Sophia's apartment fees and get Lucas permission for overnight parking. But David explained every document you signed. You just weren't paying attention. Her face crumpled. You tricked me. I protected myself. And David was very thorough. He explained that these documents included marriage asset protection clauses. You chose not to listen because you were too focused on what you thought were tenant benefits. I turned to Vincent. And you, Vincent DeLuca. Except that's not your real name, is it? For the first time, Vincent looked nervous. I don't know what you're talking about. Your real name is Victor Daniels. You have 4 fraud convictions in California, Nevada, and Arizona. You're wanted in Nevada for skipping bail on a grand theft charge. You specialize in romance scams targeting divorced women between 40 and 60 years old. Elena's head snapped toward Vincent. What? He's lying, Vincent said quickly. I pulled out my phone and opened the police database Detective Torres had sent me. Here's your arrest record. Here's your most recent mugshot from 2 years ago. Here's a warrant for your arrest. Elena grabbed my phone, her hands shaking as she scrolled through the information. Victor? Your name is Victor? Elena, baby. I can explain. And the offshore account? The one you set up for my $400,000? His face went white. How did you... Sophia recorded you. I pulled out another phone, Sophia's phone, and played the video. Vincent's voice filled the room, casual and confident, discussing the plan to split $3 million, to rob Miss Abernathy, to con everyone. Elena's face went from pale to gray. My money, the $400,000. Where is it? Vincent was backing toward the door now. It's safe. It's in the Cayman account. You just need to... There is no Cayman account, I said. Detective Torres checked. The account you showed her is fake. The routing numbers don't exist. Your money is gone, Elena. Victor here has already transferred it to one of his other accounts under a different name. Elena stood up slowly, walked to Vincent, and slapped him hard across the face. You stole my money? I can get it back. I just need time. You stole from my mother? Lucas stepped forward, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked genuinely angry. There was a knock at the door. I walked over and opened it. Detective Torres stood there with 2 uniformed officers. Victor Daniels? Torres asked. Vincent bolted for the balcony, but Lucas, surprisingly, grabbed him. You're not going anywhere. The officers handcuffed Vincent while Elena stood frozen, watching her world collapse. Elena Rodriguez? Torres turned to her. We need to ask you some questions about financial transactions and potential fraud conspiracy. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Richard, please. I didn't know about Victor, I thought. You thought you could marry me, pretend to love me, divorce me, and steal what you thought was half my assets. The only difference between you and Victor is that you picked the wrong target. Detective Torres escorted Vincent out. As they passed me, Vincent looked back. You think you're so smart, old man, but you're going to regret this. The only thing I regret, I said, is not seeing through you both sooner. After they left, Elena collapsed on the couch, sobbing. Lucas stood awkwardly by the window, unable to look at either of us. What happens now? She whispered. I pulled out the divorce papers David had prepared. Now you have 30 days to vacate this apartment. These are divorce papers. I'm filing on grounds of fraud and breach of marital contract. Given the evidence of premeditation and your false claims about your financial status, my lawyer assures me this will be quick and entirely in my favor. I have nowhere to go. You have a rental property in New Jersey that generates $2,300 a month. You have alimony of $2,000 a month. You're not homeless, Elena. You're just not getting my money on top of your money. What about Lucas? I looked at the young man by the window. He finally met my eyes, and I saw something there. Shame, maybe even regret. Lucas can make his own choices. He's an adult. But if he wants to stay in this building, He'll need to find his own apartment and pay his own rent like everyone else. And Sophia? Elena asked. Sophia made her choice when she chose to tell the truth. She has a job opportunity if she wants it. I'm looking for an assistant property manager. As I walked to the door, Elena called out, Richard, wait, I'm sorry. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I'm sorry. I thought I was protecting my future, and I destroyed everything. I turned back to look at her one last time. Elena, you didn't just destroy our relationship. You handed your life savings to a career criminal. You involved your son in a plan to rob elderly people. And you threw away something real for something fake. I hope someday you understand the difference. 3 weeks later, I sat in my penthouse, the real one, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. The divorce was proceeding quickly. Elena was cooperating with the FBI's investigation into Victor Daniels, providing evidence that helped them connect him to 18 other victims across 4 states. Lucas had been arrested for conspiracy to commit robbery after Detective Torres found text messages between him and Victor planning to break into Miss Abernathy's apartment. He'd been sentenced to 2 years, eligible for early release in 10 months if he completed the rehabilitation programs inside. Sophia had convinced him to sign up for electrical training. Maybe he'd learn an honest skill. Sophia was working as my assistant property manager now, learning the business, helping me implement new security measures to protect residents like Miss Abernathy and the Goldsteins, the elderly couple on the 16th floor who had also been targeted. Elena had moved back to her rental property in New Jersey. Her money was gone, probably scattered across a dozen different accounts under a dozen different names. The FBI was trying to trace it, but Victor wasn't talking. She'd gotten a job at a veterans hospital, her first real full-time nursing job in years. Sophia told me she was attending a support group for fraud victims. There was a knock on my door. I opened it to find a young woman, maybe 35, holding a clipboard. Mr. Thompson? I'm Janet Coleman from the Manhattan Community Safety Coalition. Detective Torres said you might be interested in speaking to our property owners group about protecting elderly tenants from financial fraud. I smiled. I'd be very interested in that. Please, come in. As I made coffee for us, she told me about the program. Other building owners who wanted to learn how to spot the warning signs, how to protect vulnerable residents, how to create safer communities. We're planning a series of workshops, she said. Detective Torres has agreed to present, and we thought hearing from someone who actually prevented a crime might be valuable. I'd be happy to help. After she left, my phone rang. It was Sophia. Richard, I wanted to give you an update on my mom. How is she? Different, quieter. She doesn't talk about money anymore. She's been going to therapy, working at the hospital, trying to help the FBI track down Victor's other victims. Sophia paused. She asked me to give you something. What is it? A letter. I can drop it by later if you want. That evening, Sophia brought the letter. I waited until after she left to open it. Elena's handwriting was careful, measured. Richard, I know there's nothing I can say that will undo what I tried to do to you. I know apologizing doesn't give you back the trust I broke or the peace I stole. But I want you to know that losing everything taught me something I should have learned a long time ago. I spent so many years focused on what I thought I needed to feel secure that I forgot to pay attention to what I actually had. You were kind to me for 18 months. You were patient with my problems, generous with your time, and gentle with my fears. I had a good man who cared about me, and I threw it away because I wanted more. Sophia told me you helped her get her job. Thank you for not punishing my daughter for my mistakes. And thank you for giving Lucas a chance to learn something real in prison. You didn't have to do any of that. I've been working with some of Victor's other victims. We're helping law enforcement track down the money. It won't bring back what we lost, but maybe it will stop him from hurting other women. Maybe that's my chance to do something right. You deserve better than what I gave you. I hope you find someone who appreciates what a good man you are. Elena. I folded the letter and set it on my desk. It was a good apology. Honest, no excuses. It didn't change what happened, but it told me Elena was finally becoming the person she could have been all along. My phone buzzed. A text from the front desk. Mr. Thompson, Miss Abernathy is here. She brought her nephew. Says she wants to introduce you. I smiled. Dorothy Abernathy had become a friend during all this. After I warned her about Victor's plan, she'd helped set up a building-wide security education program for elderly residents. I rode the elevator down to the lobby, thinking about the past month. I'd been married for less than a day to a woman who tried to steal from me. I'd discovered that trust was harder to give than money. But I'd also learned that sometimes protecting people meant letting them face consequences. Elena lost her money but found her integrity. Lucas lost his freedom but gained a chance to learn honest work. And I lost my anonymity but gained a purpose. Miss Abernathy was waiting in the lobby with a tall man in his 40s. Richard, this is my nephew, James. He owns a building in Brooklyn. I told him about your security program. We shook hands. Miss Abernathy has been telling me what you did, James said. How you protected not just her, but all the residents. I'd love to learn more about your approach. As we walked to my office, talking about security systems and community protection, I realized something. For the first time in 4 years, since Margaret died, I felt like myself again. Not Richard the security guard, not Richard the millionaire, just Richard, a man trying to do the right thing. That night, I stood on my balcony, looking out at the city. My phone rang. Unknown number, but local area code. Mr. Thompson, this is Maria Chen from the Senior Safety Foundation. We got your name from Detective Torres. We're creating a mentorship program for building owners who want to protect elderly residents. Would you be interested in joining our advisory board? I smiled. I'd be very interested. After I hung up, I thought about Elena's letter. She'd asked what I needed. The truth was simple. I needed to know the people I cared about were safe. I needed to do work that mattered. And I needed to honor the memory of people who loved me by being the kind of person who deserved that love. I was 58 years old, divorced after 1 day of marriage, and living alone in a penthouse I once hid from the world. By most measures, my attempt at finding love again had been a disaster. But I'd learned something valuable from that disaster. I learned the difference between being alone and being lonely, between being generous and being gullible, between second chances and second mistakes. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes the best way to honor the love you've lost is to protect the love that still exists in the world around you. The next morning, I started my rounds early. Mrs. Goldstein on 16 needed help with her doorbell. Mr. Patterson on 12 had questions about his lease renewal. A young couple on 8 was expecting their first baby and wanted to know about the building's security features. These were my people now. This was my purpose. Not hiding in a security uniform, but standing openly as someone who cared enough to protect them. As I walked through the building, checking doors, greeting residents, making sure everyone was safe, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Elena was right about one thing. I did deserve better than what she gave me. But more than that, I deserved to be proud of how I responded when she showed me who she really was. The test was over, and for the first time in months, I was looking forward to whatever came next.